To preface my opinion on this review, as far as Ant-Man as a character in the MCU, I don't really find his character or story or arc to be very relevant to anything. The first film was okay. The second one with the Wasp was, in my opinion, boring, dull, slow. It's been a couple years since I watched either of them though. Now, like I said, I'm not really a huge fan of Ant-Man as a character in the MCU. I do like Paul Rudd as an actor because even though he mainly just plays the same character in everything, I think he's a really funny actor. His highlights are definitely in the Judd Apatow directed films like The 40-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up and This Is 40. Now, Ant-Man and the Wasp, to me, is basically like a kid-friendly Deadpool. And that was fine back almost a decade ago, but now we already have Deadpool, and now we even have Shazam in the DC universe, which Shazam is literally the pinnacle of a kid-friendly Deadpool. And now we have Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, which is a generic MCU film to date, as generic as the MCU can get at this point. This isn't a terrible film. There are a couple woke references in it, especially with the kids being freedom fighters and protesting and getting arrested and shit like that. I think that's utter garbage. But the major theme of this film, in my personal opinion, is about family and family sticking together. And that's one thing I do really appreciate from Quantumania. As well as the visual effects, they do look really well done. And the performances, when need to be done, the performances are adequate enough, very well done in certain scenes, especially from Jonathan Majors as Kang. Overall though, as I already said, Ant-Man was already kind of a letdown for me going in. Quantumania is sometimes funny, most times juvenile, and just at this point, not even just this particular film, just MCU overall, it's very redundant in the real world. Everything that these films fight to achieve, in my personal opinion, are just very lackluster. And the sad part is these are always well-made films outside of extremely generic, extreme woke disasters of film. I don't have too much to say about Quantumania because I don't really care for it. I think it's okay for entertainment value, okay being the very most I would give it. But the performances and the visuals, and I am a fan of Paul Rudd, makes this an acceptable journey to be able to watch for just under 2 hours. But like I said, I really don't have much to say about Quantumania. This is the next MCU film to release, and it's extremely generic, just overall. Even the villain, take for example last year's Doctor Strange sequel, where the villain was actually very relatable. We knew and understood the villain. In this film, Quantumania, we understand the villain's motivations, but still, the villain and the character himself, extremely generic, not very well fleshed out in my personal opinion, and just overall generic. Everything about this film is extremely generic, and that's not even getting into the woke topics of this, such as the protesting and the freedom fighters and this and that. And I don't really recommend this film to anybody, really. It's not good. It's dull. It's an Ant-Man film with a bunch of visual effects. I guess MCU has just catered to the fanboys for visuals, and that's fine. This is basically Avatar: The Way of Water, but with an even shittier story and even more generic shit in it. So, yeah, for me, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is a very low 4 out of 10. It's not nearly as terrible as Thor Love and Thunder, but it's not even average. It's entertaining to an extreme fault. So 4 out of 10, Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania. Thank you.